You ever have one of those moments where you feel like you've just completely changed as a person? Maybe it happened when you started a new job, moved to a whole new city, or got really into a new team. Well, today, we're going to get into the sociology behind that exact feeling, how these powerful social forces can literally break down who we are and then build us back up into someone totally new.
No, really think about this for a second. Could you, right now, just walk away from it all? Your friends, your family, your habits, your style, everything that makes you, you. Could you just become someone else? It sounds kind of dramatic, right? Like something out of a movie. But as we're about to see, it's a very, very real social process.
Just imagine it. You show up somewhere you've never been before. The door swings shut behind you, and that's it. The world you knew is just gone. All you've got are the clothes on your back and this feeling of, what now?
And then, all of a sudden, everything is decided for you. When you wake up, what you're going to wear, even how you talk. That old identity you spent your whole life building, it starts to feel super distant, you know? Like you're remembering a character from a book. You're not just in a new place anymore, you're on the fast track to becoming a new person.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start by looking at these really intense places where change happens. Then we'll dig into the two-step process of transformation that goes on inside them. After that, we'll see how a milder version of all this actually plays out in our everyday lives. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with why any of this really matters.
So, let's start with that journey we were just imagining, the one where your entire world gets swapped out for a new one. It turns out sociologists have a special name for the kinds of places where this level of change can happen.
And that brings us to this huge concept, the total institution. Think military boot camps, prisons, maybe even some super strict monasteries. We're talking about places where the environment has total control over almost every part of your life, all with the goal of completely reshaping who you are.
So, let's break that down. A total institution is basically a sealed-off social world. The key things to get here are isolation and control. By cutting you off from your old life, your friends, your routines, your whole support system, the institution gets this incredible amount of psychological power. You can't just pick up the phone and call a friend for a reality check. That old self has nothing to hold on to, which makes it, well, ready to be rebuilt.
And this really shows what that control looks like in practice. First, you're cut off, physically and socially. No more casual chats with your buddies. Second, your life stops being your own. It's run by a strict schedule and a bunch of rules made by the staff. And finally, from what you eat to when you sleep to who you talk to, pretty much every single part of your day is managed for you.
So what is actually happening inside one of these total institutions? How does this change really take place? Well, it's not random at all. It's a very deliberate two-part process. It's designed to first tear down your old identity and then build a new one right back up in its place.
And these are the two big ideas right here: desocialization and resocialization. I like to think of it like renovating an old house. You can't just paint over the faded wallpaper, right? No way. First, you have to strip everything down to the bare studs. That's desocialization. Then you can start building it back up exactly how you want it. And that's resocialization.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly. Desocialization is all about stripping away your individuality. And the example is spot on. A military recruit comes in and boom, their personal clothes and hairstyle are gone, replaced with a uniform and a buzz cut. Their name might even be replaced with just recruit. It's all about eroding that old self. Then comes resocialization, the building phase. That same recruit starts learning all the rigid rules of military life, how to salute, how to obey the chain of command, a whole new way of talking. They are literally being socialized into a brand new identity.
Okay, so boot camps and prisons, they're pretty extreme examples, right? But that core idea, breaking down the old to build up the new, that's not just for these super intense places. A much milder and totally voluntary version of this happens to all of us as we get ready for the next chapter in our lives.
And this is what it's called, anticipatory socialization. The most important word on this slide, you've got to see it, is voluntary. Unlike the forced change in a total institution, this is something we actually choose to do. We are actively getting ready for a new role we want, whether that's becoming a parent, starting a different career, or even just moving to a new country.
This is such a great example. Think about that high school senior. They're not a college student just yet, but they're already watching, they're learning. What kind of clothes are people wearing? How do they talk to each other? What's cool on campus? They are basically mentally rehearsing for their future role, trying on that new identity before they even officially have it.
So, who are they learning from? Well, that's where this idea of a reference group comes in. Just like it says here, this is the group we look to for clues on how to act. For that high school senior, the current college students are their reference group. For a new intern, it might be the senior partners at their law firm. For a budding artist, it could be a group of successful painters. It's the group we want to join, so we use their behavior as our own personal blueprint.
And there it is. That's how it all connects. We find a group we want to be a part of, that's our reference group, and then we start practicing for it through anticipatory socialization by copying their behaviors and values. It's how we get ready for the future we want.
So, from the super intensity of a total institution all the way down to a high school senior just quietly watching people on a college campus, these processes of socialization are always at work, constantly shaping who we are and who we're going to become next. Okay, let's do a super quick recap of everything we've covered. We've seen how extreme environments, these total institutions, can totally reshape us through that two-step dance of desocialization and resocialization. And then, in our normal lives, we get ourselves ready for new roles through anticipatory socialization, using reference groups as our compass.
When you boil it all down, what this really shows us is that our identity isn't some fixed thing. We're never really done. Socialization is this constant, lifelong process of learning and adapting and becoming, molded by the worlds we live in, and, just as importantly, the ones we hope to join someday.
And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. If so much of who we think we are is defined by the groups we belong to, or the ones we want to belong to, what's really left of us when all those pressures just fade away? Who are you, really, when there's nobody else watching?